Hi everyone and welcome to the Publishing Performance Show. Today I'm really happy to be joined by Dale L. Roberts, who is an award-winning writer, and he's also the writer of this new book, which is Publishing Wide. So thank you for joining me, Dale.
Hey, Teddy, it's great to finally get connected. I think you and I have been passing each other in various conferences. We have some mutual friends and such, so I think this was inevitable, right?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy that you finally came on. So I've been chasing you around for a while, so it's good to finally get you on. So your new book is Wide Publishing for Authors. So tell me, what does Wide Publishing for Authors, what does that mean?
A lot of people, they'll see that. If you're outside of the business, you're like, wide publishing. What is that opposed to narrow publishing? Although that's not a thing yet. But wide publishing means to get your book out to every avenue possible, as wide of a reach as possible. That's always the best way to describe it. And the reason why wide publishing has become part of our lexicon, if you will, for authors is the fact that a lot of people came into the business through Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing.
Yeah.
And part of Amazon KDP is their KDP Select program, where you can enroll your ebook and keep it just on Amazon. Yeah. Somewhere along the way, authors kind of forgot the fact that KDP Select only affects ebooks and it doesn't affect the print book or audiobook iterations. So what they end up doing is they just believe, well, let me just go ahead and put it over on Amazon and we're good, all set. But you and I both know there's so much more happening off of the Amazon platform than people realize. And I think that's done a great disservice to a lot of people, especially those that enroll in the KDP Select program, get nothing out of it. But here, well, in order for me to have my breakout success, I've got to be enrolled in KDP Select. So I'm just going to stay exclusively here on Amazon. And that is just a recipe for disaster and heartache. And that's why wide publishing for authors kind of came in, because I have been doing this for over a decade now. And one of the things I've discovered is that you don't have to have your book live and die on Amazon. It can perform much better beyond Amazon if you just give it a shot.
Yeah, definitely. What are the advantages of staying just on Amazon? Are there any particular perks you get from Amazon from just being there?
Just being exclusive with your ebook, you're going to get many marketing opportunities that people don't get otherwise through the Amazon platform, including, of course, the 5-day free book promo, which is excellent for really getting your book into more readers' hands and getting more reviews. That's a great, promotional tool. A lot of people discount the free book promo, but it can be super, super effective if you've done it properly. Yeah. There's the 7-day Kindle countdown deal, which is in the US and UK, where you can set a timer and it's like a countdown timer essentially, and you can do it in various intervals of pricing. So let's say your original price for your ebook is $9.99. You could start it at 99 cents, and then maybe in another couple of days, it goes to $2.99 until it gradually goes back up to full price. There are also the hidden advantages. A lot of people don't discuss this enough, that, when you enroll your book in KDP Select, anytime someone checks out that book, it is the equivalent of getting a sale, where it will reflect that, not necessarily in your financial report. You're not going to get as much when you get a sale of a book unless you have this massive ebook. But what it does is it will affect the Amazon bestseller rank like you had done a sale. So it's a little bit of an unfair advantage that books get when they go into KDP Select. But that's the main advantage of going exclusive, just those ones. And I'm sure I can probably pick out a couple others if I sat there and thought about it. But conversely speaking, if you're not leveraging those marketing and promotional tools, if you're not taking advantage of some of those perks, then there's no point in staying on Amazon. I know a number of authors I've run into where they just blindly enrolled in KDP Select, but haven't done anything with it. They didn't do any price promotions. They didn't advertise the fact that, hey, I'm in Kindle Unlimited. You can go ahead and check out my book. Things like that, so you really need to, when you go into this, go into it with your eyes wide open and be prepared to put in some work, because it's just not a simple case of, well, let me just publish and pray for the best. If you really want to maximize the most out of their marketing tools, and especially the KDP Select program, you got to go all in. You got to go all in, because otherwise there's no sense in doing anything else. Now, You hear me saying go all in. We're talking about wide publishing. I'm speaking about that specific ebook. Remember, because wide publishing doesn't have to be, it's not prescriptive. I'm not going to tell someone like, well, you got to do this and you got to do this. Well, it's create your own adventure. Choose the ingredients and the recipe that you wish to make up. And so that's why it's just like you can do KDP Select and still have wide publishing for your print books and your audiobooks as well.
Yeah, definitely. The reason I was asking is because I have a bit of a mixture of people that I speak to. A lot of them are just starting out and they're publishing on Amazon. So they're asking me, should I go into KDP Select? And I'm thinking, usually probably you should for some people, because it's like you've got those free promotion days. You're going to get 100 free downloads of your book. That's going to be really helpful to get your book into the first people's hands. But the downside is you don't get to publish a book wide at all. Like you are quite restricted on that. So what do those restrictions look like?
The restrictions you're going to run into when you're doing KDP Select, obviously you're going to have just have that limited marketing reach. That's just going to be Amazon alone. But I guess the best way to kind of.
So what I was going to say was what you're restricted, because Amazon is what you're restricted from doing off Amazon is what I mean.
Restate the question again. I'm sorry.
Sorry, if you're in the Kindle Unlimited and you are publishing narrow, what are your restrictions from outside marketing? You can't do things yourself.
Oh gosh. I mean, there's many things you can do inside for marketing when it comes to your KDP Select book. I mean, obviously you have Amazon advertising. That one is one of my best tools. I love to tap into that. And you don't even have to be in KDP Select in order to take advantage of something like that. But you do have those things. But as far as getting further off the platform, not having that ability right there really does kind of handcuff you, because you could have your book in every online retailer and your audiobook in every online retailer. But let's just say you have a reader that exclusively is all about ebooks. They're like, I don't want the print book. I don't want the audiobook. I want the ebook. Oh, it's on Amazon. Believe it or not everybody likes Amazon. Not everyone is on Amazon's platform. Yes, they do bring in the lion's share of global publication profits. We can both agree on that one right there. But it does come with those limitations, just to keep that in mind. Yeah.
So if you do use Kindle Unlimited, Kindle Select, then you are restricted on the different places where you can put your ebook. That's what I was asking.
Correct. Yeah. You can't get anywhere else beyond Amazon. When you agree to that 90-day agreement, you say, I'm not going to put this on anywhere else. Now, you can do samples, 10%. You can put it over on your website. You can distribute inside your email, things like that. But you can't take that book in its entirety in digital format and put it on, let's say, Apple, or put it on your direct sales on your website or any of those other things. So yeah, as soon as it goes into that 90-day agreement, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on this here, Teddy, when it comes to newbie authors, like give it a shot. For sure. The thing is when you're new to this business, it can be super, super overwhelming. And to me, I say, start out with that 90-day agreement, because within the first 3 months, first of all, you're going to learn some new tricks of the trade. You're also going to learn a lot more about some of the abbreviations, and you're probably going to feel a little less overwhelmed. And at that point, within 3 months, you'll have that opportunity to say, yes, this is great for me. It's giving me my value, or no, it's not bringing my value. In that instance, if it's not giving you any value, you're going to want to deselect enrollment inside your dashboard for that specific ebook and wait out the entirety of your 90 days. And it'll typically say when your 90 day is up. Do not do not ever test them on this. Don't ever kind of go, well, I'm going to go ahead and deselect enrollment. Oh, there's 2 days left. Let me go and publish this through Draft to Digital. Amazon's always watching. And I've found many authors who have tested those boundaries. Heck, I even ran into an author that is currently testing that idea out. Dude told me, he's like, point blank says to me that he was in the KDP Select program and distributing the ebook through Ingram Spark. I was like, good luck, because Amazon will catch up to you.
Yeah. Also, Ingram Spark are probably using Amazon Web Services to run their backend. So,
right.
Either way, Jeff's going to find out.
Yep. Yep, exactly. I said that's their job. They want to make sure that people are truly exclusive to their platform.
Yeah, definitely. So, what are the other platforms that other authors should consider publishing when they're thinking about publishing wide?
Well, we tapped into one. Ingram Spark is fantastic.
Yeah,
Great resource. They've been around for over a decade. Their parent company is Ingram Book Group, which is responsible for distributing print books to over 45,000 online retailers, libraries, and institutions. Ingram Spark's a good one. Drafted Digital, I'm a little bit biased on that. I got quite a few friends over in the Drafted Digital
yeah,
headquarters. They're an aggregate publisher, much like Ingram Spark is, in that they will publish to numerous platforms on your behalf in exchange for a cut of the revenue.
right.
That's the beauty of self-publishing. A lot of platforms will do revenue share. KDP does a revenue share. Ingram Spark does, Drafted Digital. But then you look over at another platform. One that I really like is called Publish Drive. Now, this one is not for everybody. Publish Drive, you pay a monthly subscription amount for the number of books that you have. In exchange, you get 100% of the net profits coming in. There's no split in revenue other than your monthly dues that you have there. Love me some Publish Drive. Their user interface is probably one of the best on the marketplace. I'm not sure if you've ever checked them out, Teddy. Amazing interface.
Yeah, I've spoken to them at AuthorNation, but I haven't had a chance to use it out myself. So I'll have to put that one down to use out.
Yeah, the one thing that's unique about Publish Drive compared to the other platforms, well, there's many things that are unique, but their user interface is all in one page. You know, you go on KDP, it's 3 steps for the upload process. You do Drafted Digital, I think it's 4 or 5 steps. Ingram Spark is 50,000 steps. I'm exaggerating. A lot of people are like, great, I'm going to go to Ingram Spark now, Dale, that you told me that. There are many steps, but it's definitely worth it. But those are the ones that jump off top of my head. I think a couple other ones to kind of consider when you're looking to go beyond would be BookVault's great for print on demand. I anticipate hearing very big things about them here in the near future. They just launched a new box set feature, physical box set and slipcases. That was pretty good. They've been teasing me for the last year to 2 years now about that. But they've also have in the pipeline that they're going to eventually use ebook and audiobook for distribution.
Wow.
So I was like, that's exciting to me, being able to see that we have options out there. Because if we're not happy with the Amazon KDP, it kind of stinks because a lot of people think they're left out in the cold. Oh, I got no other way to get on Amazon, or I don't have any other way to get my book out there. Well, having BookVault eventually in that game right there. And there's one other one I'd be remiss because I named tons of them inside this book. There's a good reason why it's so thick. It's because it's literally like a directory. But one other one to mention is Letterpress. They're an ebook distribution platform. They are very unique in that you get 100% of your royalty. Yeah. I didn't say that wrong. You get 100% of your royalty minus payment processing fees, which is like 2.9%. plus a 49-cent fee or something like that. But, you know, Letterpress is really, really nice. Look into this one. I see very big things happening. In fact, right now they've been teasing doing audiobooks as well. So that means that there's going to be 2 digital components. Now, I did push them a little bit and I was like, do we ever expect print on demand? And that was a no, don't hold your breath. So it is kind of nice to see a platform like Letterpress come up to the forefront, especially since they're run by indie authors for indie authors.
Yeah, definitely. BookVault's amazing because the quality of their print is so good. I saw them again at the conference. They do the printed edges and the foiling and everything. So if you've got a special edition, it's absolutely amazing to use. Because obviously the KDP printing is a bit like, well, it's not the best.
It's basic. It's basic. It's
it's basic.
Lower your expectations is what I always tell people, because there's often times where someone will get a proof from KDP and go, oh, this is what it's like. And I'm like, well, it's not terrible. I don't think anybody's going to buy that book and go, well, this is trash. Very few people should probably be doing that. Hopefully, if you've done a good job of writing a good book. But BookVault, oh my gosh, you're not kidding. And especially the UK-based print on demand that's coming. Like, their printers are second to none. And they're not paying me to say this at all. They haven't paid me anything, actually, to be honest with you. But they have, they have just great. They do sprayed edges, gold foiling. They got the box sets. You can also sell bundles through your website with them. there are so many great things on that. But I'm glad you said that because, yeah, UK based printing for Book Vault. Oh, gosh. Chef's kiss. It's beautiful. It's the next best thing to offset printing. And a lot of people that aren't familiar with offset printing is if you go to, like, say, a local print shop where they actually like will print and cut books you actually have to buy in bulk. But therein lies the problem. If you're an indie author with working on a limited budget, offset printing is probably not the best option. So that's where a printer like Book Vault, it's refreshing because, man, I mean, you said it, I said it. It's good. And again, we're not being paid to say this, although I'm going to probably reach out to Luca and I'm going to ask him if he, kick me a couple quarters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, if you're just if you're thinking about getting started, with publishing wide, where is the best place to start?
Always start on Amazon KDP. That's just, it's just dead simple. That's usually always my first step. So I will go to KDP and then I start to expand from there, thinking about which avenue reaches what retailers. So I focus on that and I start to whittle that down. So when it comes to wide publishing, a lot of people assume, okay, I can just go ahead and publish everywhere and then be done with it. No, it's way more complex. Hence why I wrote an entire book about it.
Yeah.
It's so much more complex because here's the problem is, so I mentioned two companies that have overlap. Actually, numerous companies have overlap. For instance, Ingram Spark and Draft to Digital and Publish Drive. Let's just walk it back to Ingram Spark and Draft to Digital for now, so we're not making it difficult. With them doing print on demand, they use the same distributor and printer for the books. So this means that for Draft to Digital and Ingram Spark, they're both using Ingram Book Group. So you would want to use either or. You can't use both because there's going to be a clash. Now, a lot of people will like, well, what if I use a different ISBN on each one of them? Yes, but then you're going to have duplicate listings of your book underneath different ISBNs on one website, which is going to confuse customers, or it's also going to confuse the algorithms because it's not going to where do I send traffic to? Should I send it over to this book or this book? So then you're ending up, pretty much competing against yourself. So that's why you got to be super careful about where you go first and then next. So that's why I go KDP first. And one of the things I will say is, first of all, if you want your ebook to go wide, do not enroll in KDP Select. Just don't touch it. If you want to go take that ebook somewhere else, you have to leave that deselected. The next thing is when it comes to the print books, for paperback only, they have a what's called expanded distribution. Yeah. And it comes at a 20% less for royalties, which isn't terrible by itself. But here's the problem. With expanded distribution, the people who fulfill that is Ingram Book Group. But the problem is with that, you can actually go direct to the source through places like Ingram Spark or even Draft to Digital for that matter, and actually make more in your royalties. So what I recommend is remove expanded distribution for your paperback. It's not available for hardcover. Will it be eventually? I'm sure it will. And I would still give you the same advice is don't put it through expanded distribution, because here's the problem is you are going through a middleman to get to a middleman. You might as well just go directly to the middleman rather than having a middleman to your middleman. Meaning that, let's see here, I go ahead and I publish my paperback through KDP. I enroll it in expanded distribution. Then it gets sent over to Ingram Book Group to distribute. They're going to take their pound of flesh. They're going to send it on over to you. Then Amazon's going to take their pound of flesh, and then you're left with way less than if you were to go direct to the source. Now, there's arguments in favor. I totally get it that some people are like, I don't want to have 50,000 dashboards, Dale. So if you're that person, you're like, I don't want to be nickeled and dimed to death. Let me just select expanded distribution. Go ahead. But let me give you just one small argument. I reached out to the KDP team and they weren't entirely sure about this. But if you notice inside the last step in the upload process for print books, you'll see that it has expanded distribution for US and UK. Here's the problem, though. Ingram Book Group reaches more than the US and UK. They hit Australia. They hit areas of Europe. They hit so many other places. So The theory is, and something that I was not able to confirm with the KDP team, is that they're only leveraging US and UK sales by way of Ingram Book Group. So you're not only getting less money by going through KDP, you're also getting less reach by going through them for expanded distribution. So that's why I say deselect that, go right to the source. So typically my upload process works like this. I go and do all ebooks. So I'll open up all of my tabs. I got a folder. I just open all tabs, boom, get them all logged in and such. And then all I got to do is one at a time. I'm knocking them down. Boom, 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 boom. Then my next step is going to be paperbacks. And then I do the same thing. Open up all the folders. Boom, 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 boom. So that way I'm just going and loading these things up. It can take me upwards of about 2 hours total if I'm just taking my time to get all these published to the various platforms by way of ebook and both paperback and hardcover. That wouldn't include audiobook, but if I were to include audiobook, that would probably tack on an additional half hour tops.
Yeah. Yeah. When one thing you just touched on just previously was with the ISBN number. Now, I know with Amazon, they give you a free ISBN number, or they can do. Does that have any impact on publishing wide if you take that free ISBN number?
Good question. I'm so glad. I could tell you're setting me up on this one. You're like, he's got a good answer on this one. Free ISBNs are fantastic, but here's the problem is they're not free. Like you're not able to just own that. That is not yours at all. So the best way I could tell you, Teddy, is I'm going to invite you over for lunch today. Come on over to my house. You can use all of my cookware, cook whatever you want for lunch. But when you leave, you got to leave my cookware. You can't just go wander off with my cookware. And so this is the same thing when it comes to the free assigned ISBNs, is they're providing you with a tool in order to place your book on their marketplace, in order to be identified internationally by a specific number. That's what it stands for, an International Book Standard number. So with that being said, they don't want you taking their ISBN anywhere else. It can only function on that platform alone. So let's just say, for instance, Teddy, you can't afford to get ISBNs. Maybe you're in a region where it's ridiculously expensive. I know it is in US and UK, sometimes $125 for a single ISBN. Now, if you buy it in bulk, you get it much cheaper. So I bought 1,000 a long time ago because I was like, it's $1.50 per. I don't need to worry about this. I can will this over to my nieces and nephews when I die. So, but let's just say you can't afford it. Can you still publish wide with free assigned ISBNs? Yes, you can. It's going to be a little bit more difficult as far as tracking where you should and shouldn't go. See, the benefit of having your own ISBN is, let's say I went and published my book through Drafted Digital with a specific ISBN. Then I go over to Ingram Spark and I try to use that same one. Ingram Spark is going to go, whoa, wait, hang on a second. That ISBN's already in use, man. Do you want to reassign that over to us, or do you want to keep it there? They're just covering it to where you're not doing any duplicate listings. So the problem is when you remove that aspect of ISBNs, you don't have your own, you're sticking with free assigned ISBN. Problem is you can go and publish your book through Drafted Digital in Ingram Spark with their free assigned ISBNs, which, by the way, Ingram Spark does allow for free ISBNs in the US only. So sadly, outside the US, that's not the case. But we'll say just for this particular instance, you've got the free assigned on each one of those. You now have a duplicate listing. So this is where you definitely would want, go download my book, Wide Publishing for Authors. It'll tell you exactly some of those avenues that you don't want to duplicate list. So that way you're aware, okay, he said Ingram Spark or Drafted Digital, not both. Okay, I'm going to go with Ingram Spark since I'm in the US. Let's say you're not in the US, Teddy. You go, okay, I'm just going to go for Drafted Digital because that makes sense since they do the free assigned ISBNs, which makes life a lot easier. So it's just being very cautious about where you're going. Now, it's not an issue for ebooks and audiobooks. In fact, in a lot of instances, you won't even need an ISBN. However, there are those safeguards put in place. Again, if you have an ISBN, there won't be a clash then. And this is one of the reasons why I put an ISBN over on my ebook and I put it on my audiobook. So that way I make sure that I don't forget something at some point or another and just duplicate publish to somewhere.
Nice. That's really good advice, because I know a lot of people just want to take that free ISBN and just run with it because it's free. But I think if you are thinking about publishing wide, then it can cause some problems.
It's got its limitations. And I think something, Teddy, that we should address is the fact that, let's say, for instance, that you really do want your own ISBN. Should you wait? Me
Yeah.
personally, I wouldn't recommend you waiting. Get the book out in the marketplace, start marketing and promoting it. And here's the deal. When you can afford an ISBN, you can always delist that first edition and then publish a new edition with the new ISBN on that. There's a little bit of work behind having to do that, but it's better to get your book out into the marketplace now than waiting till later when you could potentially afford it or not even afford it. And then eventually your book just dies under some digital dust inside your PC.
Yeah, definitely. Now, with all the different platforms, you've got all, as we've just mentioned, Draft Digital, Ingram Spark, or there's various different ones. What does the royalty rate look somewhat similar across all of them, or are there any that are particularly good for this royalty rate?
I'm not going to be able to remember specific percentages off the top of my head. I think a lot of people think I'm like the human encyclopedia, and I get up and I'm like, Ingram Spark is this percentage or whatever. But yeah, it fluctuates from one platform to the other. I think I'd mentioned already how, for instance, the print books, you do an expanded distribution. Yeah. It's 40% minus print fees. Whereas if you go through Drafted Digital, it's 45%. Or if you go through Ingram Spark, it's 35 to 65% based on whatever the region might be that you're selecting. So it will vary from one platform. No, it wasn't 35. It is 45 to 65 for sure. That's why I say I don't remember a lot of these things, but yeah, making yourself aware of some of these royalties and read the fine print as well. Like, for instance, a lot of people don't realize that through KDP, you get 70% for royalties priced between $2.99 and $9.99 for ebooks. But there's an asterisk, and not enough people are addressing this. And I always just try to inform people that, yeah, it's 70% minus some fees. And I'm kind of saying that off to the side because they actually do charge delivery fees based on your file size. So if you happen to be, let's say, a photographer putting out a photography book and you've got these dense files, that's going to pull a lot of fees from it. I found that out the hard way. I had some fitness books early on in my career where I was putting out a ton of pictures in them. And oh my gosh, it was killing my royalty. Those delivery fees are the worst. Now, if you happen to be a fiction author and it's nothing but text, it's going to be negligible, that amount. But read that fine print and be aware of each one of the platforms and some of their hangups and quirks. I tried to cover a lot of that within my publication, but it's always a smart idea to not just take my word for it or anybody else's word for it. Do your due diligence. This is your author business, and it's important for you to kind of know, okay, what's the differences in royalties? What's the differences in perks? What's the differences in the marketability and those types of things, and then make your informed decision. But, as far as where's the best royalties and such, I've done a whole series of videos for ebooks and print books. I can't remember them off the top of my head now, but I did base them on royalties. And I do know I already gave you one, was Later Press is 100%. If you want to get any better than that, you could do Story Origin does 5%, I think it is, for the payment processing fees, but it's pretty doable if you do direct sales through them. So there's
the main platforms are sort of similar ballpark. It's
gonna be about in the same ballpark. Just do your research first, so that way you're not going into this kind of going, well, Dale said, yeah, but there is an asterisk to that, much like the way in which 70% royalty over KDP. You're like 70%, it's great. Everybody's like high-fiving everybody, but like minus print, minus the delivery fees. So there are those fees that you have to account for.
Great. So I just try and understand. There's not one that's like far and away better. It's like you just got to work out the different ones and how they look.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, one of the final parts I want to talk about was direct sales. Now, obviously, this is a big part of going wide, and being able to sell directly to your customers. That takes away a lot of these royalty problems because you can just sell directly to your customers and then you keep most of the money yourself. So tell us a bit about how direct sales work, and are there any particular tools we should be looking at for how you can do those direct sales and provide the books to the customers?
The biggest benefit of direct sales, oh gosh, there's so many, but it's that you're removing the middleman. There's no longer a middleman. You are now in direct contact, hence direct sales, direct contact with your readership. There are so many benefits. So for instance, if you're a marketer, you can put a Facebook pixel over on your website when somebody goes to check out, or for that matter, when somebody checks out, they'll give you their email address, those types of things. You're able to have that direct contact. And of course, since you're removing that middleman, that means you're going to be getting pretty much all of the earnings. As far as tools goes, boy, there's so many you can dive into the direct sales, but you don't have to use them all. So for instance, if you want to do direct sales for ebooks, you could probably go to a platform like Letterpress, or you can get a marketing tool like Story Origin to do direct sales through them. There are many aspects that you can kind of, play with when it comes to direct sales. Popular ones though include Shopify, WooCommerce. Let's see here. Gumroad's a pretty good one, but PayHip I feel is they have an edge on Gumroad because they have direct integration with BookVault, which we had already talked about before. And I've had a number of sales through my PayHip store because of BookVault. And the nice thing is the integration took 2-3 minutes for me to kind of whip together to do just a product listing. Dead simple, real easy. That's not including the upload process, by the way. That's assuming you already have everything uploaded. You have all that information. You go over PayHip, get it integrated. And here's the beauty of it is BookVault will only take how much it costs to print the book and ship the book. Everything else is profit in your pocket. So I get way better royalties when I'm selling my print books through PayHip. Not to mention that when someone does purchase a product, I have it to where they get automatically opted in for email marketing. And they agree to it. So as soon as they go ahead and do that, boom, I've got that email and I'm in direct contact with that reader for future campaigns or future books that I'm going to go ahead and publish. So that way I can remarket, retarget, and send that on out to them. But there are so many things you can do with direct sales. And I see a lot of indie authors heading towards this direction. And I think the reason why is a lot of people are aware now that Amazon KDP is not the only game in town. And sometimes they act rather unfairly to the account holders out there. Yep. And so some people are like, okay, screw that. I saw someone who just got banned because reasons unknown. And that makes me scared. And I'm with them. It is a scary prospect. If you've built your entire business on Amazon KDP and they just pull the rug out from under you, then you're kind of stuck. So this is why people are looking into direct sales, because their thought is, okay, let me go ahead, and if I'm going to have to drive all this traffic myself, why don't I just send it to my own website where I can go ahead and make those sales there? But direct sales is definitely the direction I believe that most authors should consider. Not all authors, but most authors should consider having direct sales, because it is an option to directly communicate and work with your readership and and the people that are thrilled to read your books.
Definitely. I guess it also means you can track your advertising and your marketing, because you can see where clicks have resulted in sales. Whereas if you're driving people to Amazon listing, it's almost impossible to see how that's worked.
It's tough. Yeah. Because for instance, using Facebook ads to send somebody over to Amazon, you can look at your numbers and look at the Facebook numbers and go, okay, hopefully kind of tie some of those together. But when you start to get like a smaller threshold of sales, it's hard to differentiate and go, well, did that come from the Facebook ad? Or is that through organic sales? Amazon advertising is probably one of the greatest ways to do attribution, but even then it has its limitations.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Amazon ads is really the only way to do attribution on Amazon that I can see properly.
Yeah.
With direct sales, are there any mistakes that people make when they're doing it? Like, is there anything that people do wrong when they're thinking about direct sales? Because I know it is quite you've obviously got to do all the driving of the traffic yourself. Is there any problems that people come across?
I think the biggest problem a lot of people make is they've built the shop, but nobody comes. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. Is I think we've been spoiled by platforms like Amazon, where they're like, hey, publish to our platform for free. We're just going to take a cut of your revenue. And then sometimes you can just publish it there. You can publish and pray and sometimes make a significant amount of sales. You could just get organic sales. Whereas if it's your website that you're directing people to, it's on you to go and send that traffic over there and do it consistently. So you can't just publish and pray for the best on your own website. You're going to need to have a good, solid marketing and promotional strategy that's going to drive traffic every day there before you start to see any type of organic sales through search engine traffic. You're going to need to look at this in the long game. Sure, maybe you're only doing a sale per month on your website. The only way to increase that is good old fashioned promotion. Just get out there, promote, promote, promote. Everybody needs to hear it. You might say it a million times, but guess what? The billions of people around the world probably haven't heard it a fraction of those amount of times. So you're going to need to say it at least a billion, if not a million to millions. So
yeah, definitely. Well, your book, Wide Publishing for Authors, is all about publishing wide. Why don't you just tell us exactly how you did your publishing wide for this very book? What was your strategy for getting it out there?
Yeah. So that way, you and I kind of chuckled and laughed when we first connected. I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I enrolled that in KDP Select?
Yeah.
It's not enrolled in KDP Select. Sorry to burst everybody's bubble.
I hope that was a gotcha. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I was like, gotcha, guys. There we go. Yeah. Get everybody kind of won over for that. But as far as when I went to publish it, again, I kind of told you a little bit of my workflow. It goes ebook, paperback, and then hardcover. Let me see here. I'd have to remember off the top of my head. I know when it comes to ebooks, I open up KDP. Hang on. Let's see here. I can probably open up my dashboard here and see the actual links that I do.
We've got an exclusive.
I got KDP. I will open up Publish Drive. I'll do Draft to Digital. I will open up. Let's see here. It's all jumbled here. My apologies. I'm just going to go ahead and just try to remember it because that's just worse. Google Play Books. I will get Kobo Writing Life. I'll remember to deselect those avenues through the previous ones I mentioned because I like to go direct with them. It's just preference. Let's see here. And then I will typically hit PayHip for the ebook distribution and Lulu Bookstore. Because Lulu treats me well. They're always they're sweet to me. So I just go ahead and put it over on their Lulu Bookstore. Then for paperback, I go KDP, Ingram Spark, Book Vault, and PayHip. I might be missing one print on demand company. I'm almost certain I probably am. Same thing goes for hardcover as well. Hardcover is going to have literally the same aspect to it when I'm going to doing the upload process, but it's definitely all covered in the book. I promise you. It's just not one of those things I remember. And again, I always just click a button, boom, opens up all the tabs, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, of course. Great. I mean, it's been fantastic speaking to you about this because it's such a big topic. I'm really looking forward to people giving me some feedback about the book because I know I've enjoyed reading it. So it's been great to hear about all the different parts of the wide publishing. Is there anything about wide publishing that you think you'd like people to know about before we head off?
If you haven't read any of my books before, you're going to find that it's unlike any other books you're going to read out there. I think you'll hear that from a lot of authors, but it's definitely true for a lot of my publications. So you've listened to me long enough here in this conversation, you will find that when you sit down and read one of my books, it's like having a conversation with me.
Yeah.
And it's for good reason. I hired an editor that's fantastic at what she does. She knows my voice. She really honors that voice, enhances it, and then punches it up a little bit. And so the books are super easy to read, and wide publishing for authors is going to be relatively simple. There's going to be some portions, for instance, that you can skim over. For instance, you don't need to know every single option available to you for distribution for, let's say, Draft to Digital. You might be like, okay, I see all these things. I can come back and look at all those options later on and read through those types of things. So don't let the size fool you. You're going to get a lot of value and a pretty short publication. I'm sure you probably can read it in a couple hours.
Yeah, nice. And if people want to get in contact with you and buy your book direct, where's the best place to do that?
Selfpublishingwithdale.com. Again, that's selfpublishingwithdale.com.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on, Dale. It's been really fantastic to speak to you. I'm glad we finally got to chat. And we'll speak again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Publishing Performance Podcast. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, let me tell you about Publishing Performance, the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales, but are not really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books. And if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximize your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalized ad account manager to create your ad campaigns, to choose your best keywords, and to make adjustments in real time. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure that your investment is being used effectively. And Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. Just go to publishingperformance.com to get started with Amazon ads for just $1. Thank you so much for tuning into the Publishing Performance podcast. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, let me tell you about Publishing Performance, the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales, but are not really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books. And if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximize your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalized ad account manager to create your ad campaigns, to choose your best keywords, and to make adjustments in real time. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure that your investment is being used effectively, and Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. Just go to publishingperformance.com to get started with Amazon ads for just $1.